Welcome to our game today, a game from 1995 between Judit Polgar and Alexey Shirov. And this game really helps us to understand why it's important to get your king to safety rather than trying to gain space by pushing pawns, and also helps to understand why you should look for every defensive move, even if it doesn't look like it's doing much. It can help you down the line. And of course, we're going to see Judith Polgar's amazing calculation skills and attacking skills. Now, in the game, we get e4, g6, d4, bishop to g7 by Shirov, and here we see Polgar plays knight to c3, trying to control the middle of the board. So we get c6, bishop to c4, d6, and queen f3. So not a very common variation at times that we see the queen on f3 here. We get e6, queen there on f3. So now you can play knight to ge2. We get b5 attacking the bishop. We drop the bishop back, then we get a5 and a3. And then an interesting move of bishop to a6, trying to control this diagonal here for black. So of course, if you play the knight and castle, you can do a discovery attack on the rook that would be there. But of course, that's not going to happen in this game. Polgar decides here to really want to try and blow the board open here, because we see Shirov has pushed all these. He's pushed 5 pawns already in the game, and Polgar is saying, well, you should have got your king to safety, so I'm going to blow the board open here. And so we get c takes d5, e takes d5, and here Shirov plays e5 to try and basically close up this position as best as possible. And if he can get his knight out and castles, well, then Shirov is in a very comfortable position for the game. So we get knight to e4 by Polgar, queen to c7, and then Polgar here really is going for it. Plays c4, brilliant. Brilliant stuff by Polgar, not a brilliant move, it's the best move in the position. So sacking this pawn here on c4 so that you can now play this check move, and of course with the king desperately wanting to castle, anything that can hinder that process is only going to be advantageous for Polgar. So Shirov takes the pawn, and then we get bishop to a4 check. So really we get d7, knight to d7 by Shirov, and then we get knight to c3 by Polgar. So interesting position, and in this position we see that the computer is saying the best move is h6. Now the reason that h6 is the best move is that it controls this square on g5, and we're going to see that this square is quite pivotal in the attack that Polgar plays. So this is where taking a couple of minutes to see what your best position is, or your best defensive maneuver is, and to see what squares you can take away from your opponent's attack is very helpful. But instead, Shirov plays king to e7, and here we really get the fireworks, because it enables Polgar to play a brilliant move on her next move. Can you find the brilliant move to set up a very exciting attack for white? Well, the brilliant move here is knight takes on d6. Now in the game, Shirov takes with the queen, because if you're taken with the king, for instance, then we get queen to f7, queen to d8, best move. And after that, we would get a knight to e4 check. The king drops back here to c7. White would then pick up the bishop on g7, and after knight f6 and knight f6 takes, you have to take back with the queen, because of course the knight is pinned. And after the queen play is d7 with check, we get king to b8, and white is absolutely destroying black in this game. Up a bishop and a pawn in this position, but it's such a bad position for black. The computer has it at 8 plus 8.5, so a really super attack if you take with the king. But instead we get queen takes d6, and it's already +4, so it's not that much better for black. It is better, but really Shirov is finding himself in a desperate position because of his refusal to get his king castled, and here we get knight to e4 attacking the queen. So the queen says, well, okay, I'm going to take this pawn on d5 because in some variations it becomes very annoying, especially if you can get here to d7 protected by the light square bishop. It can be very, very annoying and dangerous in the rest of the game. So we get queen to d7, then we get this move of bishop to g5 check, and this move is pivotal in the deciding of the game here. And here we get knight to f6. Now, knight to f6 is by far the best move because if you play a move such as king to e8, it is an inaccuracy, but you're also taking away the escape from this position. So let's check out the sequence from here. You'd get queen to d6 check, which is a wonderful move. Queen to d6, and with that, we have now opened up an attack on both the queen and the rook. So if you take with the queen, well, then it's mate in 3 because of this square being blocked off, all you can do is block the checks to checkmate. And if you don't take with the queen in this position, if you go king to f8 for instance, which would be an only move, it's also mate in 4 because you give up your queen. Knight to h6 is the best move here. You get queen to a8 check, then you get knight blocks and bishop blocks. Again, this being the pivotal move here, controlling of this square on h7, and really wonderful stuff again. So you can see the disadvantage for them in this position. I'm trying to find where we are. We got there, we got check and checkmate. So we get knight to f6 instead. And after this, Polgar plays rook to d1. Now, rook to d1 is a great move because it's threatening to take the queen, but also we're going to get this check here on d7 in the next move. So Shirov drops the queen back to b7, this effectively deciding to trade off the queen for the rook and the bishop. But instead of taking the bishop here, Shirov, because basically if you take the bishop back here, you can play anything along here. You're going to end up losing another piece here. So that's why he doesn't play it, but rather in this position plays the move h6. And can you find the decisive move here that Polgar plays? Judit Polgar to effectively end the game, and after she played it, Shirov resigned. Well, the move here is the rather nice queen to d1. And why is queen to d1 such a good move? Because if you play something like queen or king to f8, you have to play something like queen to f8. The game is all over because basically you're opening up this attack here. You get the check and something like this to really help you. It is a desperate position here to try and defend against Polgar. So a lot of things to learn from this game. I hope you enjoyed it.